First off, I want to thank the brave men and women who work behind the wall. I want to thank them on a national level because their job goes unrecognized.
How do they try to turn a guard?
Well, correctional officer. Sorry, I apologize. But correctional officer. How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi, host of Tier Talk. Guys, great topic today. Today we're going to discuss the importance of labels. Yes, the importance of calling an inmate, or in some cases, some places have changed that entirely, and they call inmates residents or clients or criminal justice involved individuals. But I want to talk about the importance of labels and how labels affect how we see individuals. And I'm going to start off by how I teach my inmate manipulation course and show where there's a conflict in where we were, which is a good way to protect ourselves, and where we are going, which may not be such a good way to protect ourselves. So when we come back from our sponsors, we're going to discuss labels. It is a trending topic, and it's a topic that's got some of us concerned. Now, guys, if you haven't, the show Tier Talks for you, you brave men and women that work in corrections, so please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post a video. Stand by for our sponsor, and when we come back, let's talk about labels.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Thank you guys for listening to our sponsor. Now guys, this softening of labels, there's going to be a but here. I understand the perspective, and again, there's going to be a but here. I understand not everyone is custody oriented and they have a different job to do, and that job may require them to see inmates in a different light. Medical, maybe it's a patient. Social services, maybe it's a client, etc. But with that said, there should always be in the background that you're dealing with an inmate. That's got to be somewhere within that label. So it's not an either or, it's an and. They're an inmate and a patient. They're an inmate and a resident. They're an inmate and a client. Lately, what's happening here, you see it in California, you see it in New York, there's been a push to make it one side over the other. So like if I'm making a phone call, because this happened recently, and when I'm talking to the agency and I drop the word inmate, the person will listen to what I have to say, and then the first thing they do is correct me by saying, "Excuse me, sir, they're no longer inmates, they're residents." Or, "Sir, they're no longer inmates, they're clients." And I've touched on this before, but I give respect to the fact that there has to be that other perspective. I'm not minimizing that, but there should be a partnership between that perspective and the perspective of safety and security, the perspective that keeps us on our toes and makes us aware. We have to realize something, guys, that even though you want to create something in good intent, that good intent can be misused by the wolves that live amongst the sheep. You know, very simple for us to understand that, but sometimes very hard to get out there. So we understand the good intent. We understand that, you know, inmates or offenders may be dehumanizing them, and it kind of lowers their self-esteem. But it's not like I walk around all day, or other professionals in this field walk around all day saying, "Hey, inmate, hey, offender." When we interact with them, it's usually, "Hey, sir, hey, ma'am." Maybe in our paperwork it may say inmate, but we're not blurting it out, "Hey, offender." Just like I wouldn't blurt out, "Hey, patient, hey, resident, hey, client." And the concern I have here, because when I teach inmate manipulation, is I always tell people you have to remember who you're dealing with. That's key. And that's at the very beginning of my manipulation course. It's like, hey guys, don't let inmates take you out of your prescribed role. And what I mean by prescribed role is that you're working in a prison. And when you have that manipulative inmate, they may look to connect with you on a personal level. And how they do that is they remove the label of inmate. They remove the label of offender, and they want you to solely see them as a patient, as a resident, as a client, a softer label. And what that does is that kind of takes your mind off the potential threat of who this individual could be. I'm not saying everyone, but who this individual could be. So the softening of the labels, I understand it. You know, I understand where you're coming from, but there has to be a balance here. There has to be a balance where, okay, I know they're a resident, but in the back of my mind, I still remember that they're an inmate. I know they're a patient, but again, in the back of my mind, I still remember that they're an inmate or an offender. And when I got that phone call today, and we're chatting, and I must have said inmate like 3 or 4 times. This person kept on correcting me. And it wasn't about we see them as this and this. It was about, no, they're no longer inmates. Now they're just solely this. That goes against everything that I've ever taught when it comes to safety and security. We're keeping your mindset right, remembering who you're dealing with. So if you want to change the labels, which again, we're not running around calling them inmates. We're not running around calling them offenders. We're calling them by their names, or we're calling them yes sir, yes ma'am, or whatever it is. But if you want to go around and totally change the label to the point where they're no longer inmates, no longer offenders, be advised, that's what kind of keeps us on our toes for those that would use what you're doing in a malicious manner. You know, we always have to be prepared for that wolf that's amongst the sheep. That's what we do. That's the profession that we're in. So, just kind of saying that they're no longer this, and now they're solely this. Labels are how we see individuals. It's how we define our situation. If we're totally one-sided and don't give that air of caution on the other side, you're getting rid of a very important shield for us. That label is a shield. It reminds us of where we are. And it reminds us because it tells us who we're dealing with. Just food for thought. As always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post a video. Stay safe.